delighted to be here, which is tonight for me. And for some, it's not tonight, but we are global, which is wonderful. And talking of land, so I grew up on my own land, which means I am indigenous. I am Latvian who grew up in Latvia, even if the country in which I grew up was at that time occupied by the Soviet Russia. So we didn't own our land, but we still had the privilege that we could live on it and we could, at least in a secret way, live our traditions. And now I have the honor to be an adopted Scot, or New Scot, as they say. I'm living in Scotland. I'm living just beside the North Sea. And if it wouldn't be completely pitch dark outside, I could see it from my window. Before I start, I would like to ask people to get something to write with. So I will share some artwork and some poems with you, but then also I would like to invite you to take part in some very easy writing exercises. They are for people who have never written before or have written a lot. It's fine in both cases. So just get some paper and pen or your phone or whichever way you write easiest before we jump into the session. So hopefully everybody has it. And now let's share. I wanted to share with you some photography and some of my sculptures. And the photography comes from more than 20 years of traveling to Japan with my husband, Michael. We love the people and the nature and spirituality and art, both old and traditional and contemporary art of Japan. And as we gathered those images, most of them are taken by my husband, Michael, and most of them are taken by analog, large scale photography. And during the lockdown, when everything was closed and when people couldn't meet easily, I started to write poetry, which was written to these pictures. And I would like to share a couple of them with you. And this one is the wind. The wind weathers stone, but beyond stone, compassion weathers. And the poem is translated into Japanese by two new college students here at the University of Edinburgh, where I have the privilege to work. I will not be able to read it in Japanese yet. On my bucket list it is to learn Japanese, but I just can speak some words, but not poetry yet. And here is a resin sculpture of mine and a poem to it. Cedar tree, roots in the ground, lift up my prayer, lift up my prayer. And this is an image from a pilgrimage on Japan. One of the things that we have been doing during the last 20 years in Japan is going on pilgrimages. And they are two major pilgrimages. One is called Kumano Kodo. It is partnered with the Jacob's Way, the Camino in Spain and France and Portugal. And there is another one which is on the island of Shikoku, which has 88 temples and shrines which are out in nature. And you can walk from one shrine to the other. But also So there are other ones, and this one is in the north of Japan. It is a pilgrimage to a place which is called the Gates of Hell, because it is a volcanic place where everything steams and smells and smokes. And people buy these very, very old shoes or slippers at the beginning of their pilgrimage, and they walk in them. And when they are finished with their pilgrimage, they hang them on the fence of the gates to hell. And to be honest, I tried walking in those shoes, and they are definitely not comfortable. So here is a poem to that. Blisters on the feet. Blisters on the feet, journeys meet in kindness to one another and oneself, soothing the blisters, resting the feet. And here is another one of a sculpture. And that is actually the very first sculpture that I managed to make in the technique that I'm working in now. I needed about 1.5 years to be able to do what I wanted to do with resin dropping, dripping drop by drop. And this is the very, very first sculpture. And I was thinking about our world today and about people who are forced to travel from place to place, who are not at home anywhere really. And I can relate to that feeling very much. Full, full, full boats on the seas of our world, refugees seeking new life. And I see very much the connection of my Latvian people and people in the world right now. Because Latvian people, including my own family, my grandmother's only brother, escaped from Latvia during the very end of the Second World War in small boats. They went to Sweden, they went to Germany, and they landed in displaced persons camps and were sent from there all around the world, the USA to Canada, Southern America, and also Australia and New Zealand. And there is a Latvian community all around the world because of that. Some of them have come back since Latvia is free now, since 91, but many of them still, and their children and grandchildren, live around the world, carrying that heritage of having traveled in this way. And here is an image of a sculpture which is part of a series called The Forest is Listening. It is about mindfulness in nature, but also about us listening to nature and listening to our environment. And the poem is The Pathway. The pathway to the other world, a warning of danger. Enter, and you will never be the same. Be changed, be transformed for a more just world. And now I would like to challenge you to do some writing with me. Are you ready? So, what I would like to invite you to do is take whatever you are comfortable with writing on, so either paper and pen, or pencil, or your phone, or whatever you usually would use to write. And I would like you to take a deep breath first, just in and out. Let go some of the tension that you might have from the day, from the week. Just take in a breath and think that peace fills you. And when you breathe out, think that the tension leaves you. It will help you to write. So peace in and stress and tension out. And now let your breath return to normal. And I would like you to have a look around you at things that you see around you. Objects, colors, pets, whatever you see, or people beside you. Just notice what is around you. And now write it down. Right now, just write down which objects, which colors, which living beings you have around you. Probably try to notice things that you haven't noticed before. So have a second and third look around you. Notice colors, objects, beings, plants. And now I would like you to do something a little bit unusual. Use what you have written down to define you. Write using the colors, the objects, plants, beings around you. I am trying to be, and then use one or several of them. So I am trying to be. And now write, imagine that I am, and use an object, a color, a being, a plant for that. Imagine that I am. And now write, using one of the objects, colors, or beings, I am not. And when you are done with that, use one of the objects, colors, or beings to say, I am. So when you are done, I would like to invite invite somebody brave to share what they have written. I can start. So what I have written is, I am trying to be brown. Imagine that I am a dragon. I am not a radish. I am the sea. Anyone else? Just a little bit of background of this exercise. So what it does is it helps you to find unusual metaphors, to find comparisons that you usually wouldn't use. And it also activates your brain. It activates especially the right side of your brain to think in a different way. And that is the place from which it is the best to start writing poetry or writing something creative.
And again, feel free to add to the chat if you don't want to come onto the recording here. We're happy to see these things emerge in the chat as well.
I see Laurie has written something very beautiful. I am trying to be strong, a shining green jade. Wow. I imagine that I am as gentle as a peony leaf, a petal. Oh, nice. I'm trying to notice the beings in the trees that are hiding themselves. Beautiful. I am not prickly like a pine needle. I am a red sunset. I am at peace and content. I am not fearful. I'm trying to be hope. I am not only two shades, I am rainbow of shades. It was utterly beautiful. I'm feeling deeply purple like the dusk of this day. I'm stretching in growth from the warmth. Mark, I am trying to contain my emotions in a small space. So now I would like to invite you to write about sun. Before we do that, Sarah Lee Morris has one. I'm soft orange and creamy, beige like the cat who stirs against my hands. And Mary, I am keeper of fading pink flowers and memories and unwilling to let them go. What treasure here, really. Wow, all of them. So I would like to invite you to write about the sun. So write anything that comes to your mind when you think of the sun, the effect, the feelings, knowledge, facts, anything that comes to your mind when you think of the sun. And when you are finished writing about the sun, use what you have written, some of that, to describe what hope is. So whatever from what you have written about how sun is, describe how hope is. And when you are ready with that, please share either in the chat or speak it out. And we have some here. My hope is that the seeds of goodness I put in the soil will flourish and bear fruits that will nourish those who partake of them. Sunrise, hope for a fresh start of the day ahead, and a couple of ones for the sun. I think of warmth and life, and warm embrace, growth of beautiful things in my garden that love the light. Hope is reflected in the lives and faces of the ones through whom I know the divine that resides within them. Hope is a golden glowing warmth in my heart and a bright bold nudge in my soul. The bright light in our Brazilian sky deepens the darkness of the shadows. Hope is the dissipation of what has been hidden. Hope always rises again. It sustains and warms. It gives life. It is strong. It is real. Anyone else? The sun's brightness is too overwhelming to look into fully, but it is there shining brightly. Hope is always shining somewhere. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. We have 1 more minute left. Would you like to see some more sculptures? Okay. So let's see. Doesn't want to share. Let's see if I can. So here we go. And here is another sculpture that was part of a week on Iona Abbey, dragon, and a poem written with it. Droplets dripping, a fire dragon, laughing droplets of life. Every little droplet makes a ripple in the world. It matters. Every little thing matters. And every little thing that you have written today matters. It moves my heart and it moves others. And here is a little installation in Iona Abbey. Walk the path, ring the bell, you will be heard. And go out and ring the bell for others to hear, for justice, for freedom, for the world. Thank you.